just everybody, we all know that's what Vince was just talking about is Balancer. Balancer is one of the leading DeFi protocols, recently surpassing 1 billion of total value locked. A growing number of DeFi projects use Balancer pools as the core building block for their liquidity mining, self-balancing portfolios, smart DeFi indices, and other use cases. And we're really excited today to have Marta from the Induma community at Balancer Labs as a guest on bees.social TV today. So she's going to go over what to expect with Balancer's new and improved version 2. I just want to welcome Marta. It's awesome to have you on today, Marta. And I know it's tonight for you. So we just want to tell you that we appreciate you spending some time with us today. I know you have a kind of a presentation all set up. And, while you're getting that in place, would you mind introducing yourself to the, our audience here?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, great. Perfect. Sorry. Seems like my internet is freezing. So yeah, welcome. Thank you so much for making the time to hear my talk and to, for inviting me. My name is Marta Piekarska, and I'm a community induna for Balancer Labs. I actually joined the company a month and a bit ago, so I'm really new to this whole thing. But I've been really enjoying the ride, and that's actually one of my first presentations about Balancer. Previously, I worked in a permission blockchain space, was a public speaker for Hyperledger and built the whole ecosystem there. So I was the director of ecosystem in Hyperledger for 4.5 years. So I kind of started with Bitcoin, went to permission blockchain, and now I'm in DeFi. So I think that I'm following the trend and the hype, but I don't know. Hopefully it's the right direction.
Very cool. Yeah, so you've been around them all. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a fun life. Yeah. And it's only starting. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. I'm sure that everyone here knows quite a bit about Balancer, given what you guys are doing and your audience. But I was really excited to kind of answer any questions everyone might have, and introduce some of the new features that are coming with Balancer v2. As some of you may know, Balancer v2 is already available in the smart contract layer, so actually developers can interact with it. We had an incredible announcement today that I can also talk a bit about, but the UI itself will be launching within the latest 2 weeks. We kind of pushed out the announcement of the UI because of the partnership that we built today, or we announced today. Here we go. So Balancer protocol was created from the understanding that decentralization is just bad. Oh, sorry, centralization is just bad. We need ways to create reliable systems without a trusted third party. More importantly, in space of exchanges and investment, this is a very limited, like in traditional space, it is very limited space. You can't go ahead and invest whatever savings you have. You have to find someone, pay them, they will be doing the portfolio for you. Most of the time, unless you have actually really big money, they will not even do any kind of customized strategies for you. You just get qualified for a certain group or certain group, and then it's done, right? You just sit there and hopefully earn something, but usually not much. So the arrival of decentralized financial systems has created a number of opportunities for innovation and investment. As is the case with nearly all financial instruments and products, these blockchain-based currencies are traded on the market. And in the early days of cryptocurrency trading, the exchanges where trades could occur were actually a weak or vulnerable point of an ecosystem. So the fact that we could exchange money was a weakness. And obviously, centralized platforms often got hacked, which was a combination of less than solid security, let's say that way, and censorship-resistant currency. So it was a great opportunity for digital theft, basically. And well, let's not forget that it unfortunately not uncommon was just running away with people's funds, so-called exit scams, right? That was obscurity of a centralized system combined with a decentralized currency. So that all kind of created a situation where we needed something better. We needed something that democratizes finance. And that's what we hope that in Balancer we do, is that we give access to investment and to trading to anyone in the world and really make it democratic, make it egalitarian. What's special about decentralized exchanges are two things. Of course, they are not without risks and pitfalls. They just tend to avoid the same problems that centralized and custodial exchanges face. The features include the fact that they are non-custodial, obviously, meaning that they do not hold your fund. Your funds stay in your wallet. The platform can't do anything with it. And they are on-chain. So every transaction is directly recorded to the blockchain, leaving an easy-to-follow trail of record. That is incredibly important, and that's the power of immutability of a blockchain. If the distributed exchanges were to shut down operations, like a team just wants to shut down everything, smart contracts powering the platform would still live on the blockchain forever. And that's something that is actually very interesting, and we are exploring right now with Balancer, because we have those two parallel kind of platforms that are running, Balancer V1 and V2, and V1 will never stop existing, right? So we actually may have some small pools in Balancer for the rest of the history, longer than I'll live, longer than you will live. But we need to try to migrate people to V2, and they should understand that obviously it's a better choice for them. But there are certain incentives that we are building to encourage that and to kind of understand how can we move people to V2. I think that we do need to make sure that people understand what they're doing. And while my team in Balancer Labs is working on much better UIs, much more secure systems that will protect users from themselves in a way, my role is to educate and to kind of talk about those risks. And there are many of them. I mean, nice segue. There are several things that are pretty bad about DEXs. First of all, it's the gas fees. And I'm sure you all know that, because gas fees are killing us right now. I was trying to do some mock investment on our platform and just like send 0.01 WETH to the thing, because I wanted to just check something, and the gas was like $160. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy, Marta.
That's the design in Ethereum, and we need to wait for a London release for that to get better. And that's just part of that education, right? That I can be investing in millions or I can be investing pennies, but the gas will be very similar. And that's also the part of the recording on chain and paying the miners and so on. We actually introduced before V2, which comes with whole sort of gas optimization features that I'm quite excited about. We introduced gas reimbursement process, where if you are trading with liquidity pools on Balancer, you can get BAL for gas. So you can't get your ETH back, but we actually mine the BAL for you and release the BAL to everyone that spent gas to interact with Balancer platform. And that's been an incredibly successful project. It kind of ran as an experiment at the beginning, but then we kept it because everyone is so happy about it. And it's important for us from a governance perspective, because people think quite often about BAL as some kind of effectively, a currency, a token that they can invest in and they'll get money out of it. But that is not really what BAL is. BAL is a governance token, and governance tokens are there to empower the community to make decisions and impact where the protocol is going, right? So sure, it's a nice thing that I can buy BAL, sell BAL, and maybe earn something in the meantime. But actually, the reason to hold BAL is to be able to participate in the votes, to be able to propose new features, to be able to really shape this thing that you're invested in. And that's something that we are kind of also trying to figure out how to communicate that to people, that they have a responsibility. And it's like a whole new level of open source for me. My background is in open source, so I quite often refer to that, where, you know, in open source, you have to give back by the way of contributing code or working with the community or something, because otherwise the projects fall apart. With DeFi protocols, it's if the people, the governance, right, the governance token holders do not pick up the responsibility for running this protocol and for making it better, then there is no point in having the protocol, and there is no point in building this thing. And Balancer Labs was created kind of to kickstart the development process and to encourage people, or, you know, to build the basics of it. But ultimately, within the next 2, maybe 3 years, we hope to become a DAO. We want to be obsolete.
Yeah.
Which was kind of funny when I was interviewed for the job, and I learned that it's like for 2 years and then do something else. Yeah. So I'll just quickly jump into the slides, talking about a bit more about the V2 highlights, because that's, I guess, the most interesting part. You know what's innovative about Balancer in terms of smart pools, and the idea that you can have pools with more than 2 tokens, which you already have, and the weighted values there, and so on. So the biggest value of, or well, the highlights of V2 and in areas where we have improved and innovated are security. We talked about it, the bug bounty program. Simplicity. We always wanted our UI and our interactions with users to be as simple as possible, because the complexity introduces confusion and introduces potential for breaches. It is much more gas efficient. I'm super happy about it. Actually, trading both against standard and stable pools will cost a little over 100K in gas. And trades will cost even less if internal token balances are used, which is a new kind of concept. And trading with many pools at the same time will only marginally increase the gas costs. It is also capital efficient, meaning that pools will be able to enable asset managers, which is a very novel way of thinking about it, to have control over the underlying pool tokens that they add to the vault. So the idea there is that you have the tokens that are being invested, and you have the tokens that are lying around idle normally, and these idle tokens will now, asset managers will be able to reinvest them on other platforms to increase the gains that you have, or the return on investment, in a way. And that really opens a vast design space for improving capital efficiency and other use cases, like using the underlying tokens to vote, for instance. And then finally, it's very flexible. What we really wanted is for other teams to start building using V2. Balancer Labs is about, driving the protocol and making sure that we develop the community that will take over. We are not there, and we provide some products, that enable you to easily interact with the protocol, but there's so much more they can do with it. And that really is where the brilliance or where the interesting things start, where you can start thinking, how do you use the Balancer protocol to improve your products or to build something completely new. So the first thing that is completely different to how we used to think about Balancer is the single vault architecture. So single vault is a single smart contract that holds and manages all the assets added by balancer pools. The benefit is that what would have been multiple tokens transfers before, because they were all separated and each connected with a gas fee, now it is a single transfer pair. So we can just, while the pools are very solidly siloed within the vault, the vault has a view over everything that is happening. So this really allows us to take a full advantage of this multi-pool trading routing, and offer much higher liquidity. So this is how it kind of moves, right? So we used to have the pools that have separate logic and separate assets, and now we have separate logic, but the assets are all in the same vault. Now, the way that we realize the trades between pools and transfers between pools is using internal token balances. These are tokens that belong to you and are kept inside of the vault. They're extremely useful for high frequency trading, since they require no external token transfers. So basically what happens is that you can make as many transactions as you want within the pool, and it's just being added or subtracted from your internal token balances. And only the net of that is what goes out or into the vault, right? So it means that only interactions with the outside world are the ones that are, that we can't optimize gas there, basically. But as long as you're trading within the vault, the costs are just minimal. That's initially we are launching with just a single type of a pool, which is a weighted pool, which is permissionless, very similar to what V1 shared pools were. And it contains 8 tokens. But the really cool thing is that now we are not limited to 8 tokens. Our guys really thought hard and removed the mathematical limitation on how many tokens we can have, and it will go up to 100. So you could have actually 100 token pool. It's not turned on by default because we didn't know how much appetite there would be for it, but it will be very easy to get those things going. And then very soon after that, within the next few weeks, we will be introducing stable pools, which would be suitable for tokens that are soft pegged to each other. So that's their innovation there. We will, of course, have the liquidity bootstrapping pools for LBPs in V2. And this is a 2-token pool with pause and wait change rights, right? So it will be always two token pool, and always those things are adjusted. And you can revoke the rights and transform it into a smart treasury or a weighted pool equivalent after you finish your LBP. And then finally, we'll have the smart version of weighted and stable pools. They are revocable with revocable rights, and they can become much more trustless over time. The next thing that also grabbed people attention is the customizable AMM logic. So V2 pioneers a logic that allows us people to, or customization that allows people to create completely novel ways of how pools are working. We kind of create a launchpad for teams to innovate with different AMM strategies without having to worry about the low-level token transfers, balance accounting, security checks, or smart order routing. That all comes kind of out of the box. So asset managers, that's interesting. It's like we guys at Balancer created this thing, and I'm both excited and really scared. So asset managers are external smart contracts that are nominated by the pools to have full power over the underlying tokens that the pool has deposited in the vault. So It is scary because they require a lot of analysis and making sure that, you know, they do what they promise, because they're incredibly powerful. So the security audits, all of that has to be done. But on the other hand, it's pretty crazy, right? Because it brings so much capital efficiency, and leveraging asset managers, the portfolios can become much more productive. So in trading pools, normally only a small percentage of assets are actually used to facilitate the trades, while deep liquidity results in a smaller price impact on trades. It also needlessly locks vast amounts of the capital in the pool. And that's where asset managers come in. Instead of holding idle assets, pool can send these tokens to the asset manager for them to be reinvested somewhere else, while internally maintaining the balances and facilitating the trades as if the assets were there. So I have a nice little GIF to show you how it works. Basically, the trading pools, the idle assets get reinvested. And normally, typically a trading pool with deep liquidity benefits from only low slippage, but the tokens not involved in the trade do not contribute to the fees accrued by the pool. Asset managers tap into that and could do things like, for instance, the asset manager could take these assets and lend them out to borrowers, earning interest for the balancer pool. Another thing would be investing in yearn vaults or providing liquidity on a layer 2 DEX, right? So it's just kind of giving a lot of power to them, but also allowing them to really make sure that you get your investments worth. We did announce that the first one will be AV. We are building with AV, and we will see, you know, where it goes. We kind of are. We want people to build as many of them as possible, and really want people to innovate there. But also, it will require very kind of careful analysis before the asset managers will be kind of moved into mainstream, or, you know, put on the as a smart contract. So one more thing, there are two more things that I want to talk about. First of all is the Gauntlet partnership that we created. It will enable us to maximize returns for liquidity providers. Finally, we are able to introduce dynamic fee AMM pools to the balancer liquidity providers. So Gauntlet will make protocol parameter optimizations, starting with the trading fees on balancer V2 pools. And we actually identified 32 pools that cover over 50% of current liquidity on V1. And Gauntlet will dynamically adjust the fees in those pools, which is pretty cool, as I understand. And, you know, if that was not all, that wasn't it, or that wasn't enough. We also introduced, we will be introducing a bit more other things. So we will have something that is called governable protocol fees that are collected by the balancer protocol, not the liquidity providers. So the two main sources of those will be from flash loans, because we're introducing also flash loans and flash swaps, and trade fees. The trade fees are by default turned off. The flash loans fees are by default turned on. The governance, so every BAL token holder can decide by a public vote on the platform to turn the trading fees on if there will be a need. The idea is that basically those fees will enable the governance to create some kind of, pools, buckets. Let's not use pools, buckets that can be distributed, and it can be some kind of an ecosystem fund. It could be a scholarship. It could be redistributed to LPs if that's it. But the governance starts to hold some kind of a treasury of its own and start making these decisions there. It could be, funding a project that will increase whatever, even decrease even more the gas fees. But it's everyone that holds BAL that will have to vote on that. And then the other thing that we are doing is the oracles. So we will make, hopefully make V2 much more resilient and user-friendly by having price oracles that are resistant to sandwich attacks by leveraging accumulators. That's actually something that was pioneered by Uniswap V2. And we'll have two types of oracles. The that will be queried for low gas costs. First of all, the resilient ones. Resilients are slightly less up to date, but much more resilient to manipulation. And the instant ones, surprise, surprise, are much more up to date, but they are slightly less resilient to manipulation. So obviously the question is, how do I choose? Well, the projects will have to choose on their use case. So for instance, a lending protocol will probably use resilient price oracles, while something more like a prediction market may prefer to have the instant pricing. And then swaps and loads. And finally, the last thing that I didn't put in my slides, but I do remember to talk about it, which is the partnership we announced with Gnosis project today, which is building a balancer Gnosis protocol. And that is quite game-changing in some ways to the whole space. Also because we've been considered a competition, and we are really just partnering with Gnosis to show that we can build much more together rather than just working in our small little world.
Yeah, instead of competing.
And it's something that unfortunately happened in the DeFi space at some point, where we started working really closely on our projects and not really sharing. And really the innovation, it happens only when there is true collaboration.
Yeah, you're right.
At least that's what I believe. And when we start being really kind of focused on what we're doing and start building on the work that other people are doing with their appreciation of it, not by stealing, obviously.
Yeah, no, everybody's a little protective in this space, huh, Marta? Yeah.
Indeed. Be involved, participate in the votes, be part of the discussion about the governance, right? That is what we need. We need people that are involved and they that help in any way possible. I mean, I'm working with some kids, literally kids, like teenagers in Turkey, translating all of the documentation and stuff to Turkish, because there is a big Turkish community that doesn't speak English. And that already is so important, like, spreading the word and opening Balancer to the whole world and non-English speakers is a big thing. It doesn't have to be, bug fixing. There are so many ways that anyone really can contribute to the protocol and to building that community. If you want to learn more, probably Discord is currently, obviously we have docs. We have, if you go to docs v2.balancer.finance, you will find the documentation for V2 and V1. We don't have really great tutorials yet. I'm sorry. We were busy building things, but we will get there. We will get courses. I want to really focus on educational material and kind of more courses stuff. But participate in Discord, participate in our forum. If you have an idea on how to improve something, we're all ears. Like, you are Balancer. That's the most important part, probably, to remember, that once you become an LP, you are a Balancer.
Yep. That's exactly right. And we know the feeling, Marta, about putting stuff out and starting to make video educational. We're in the midst of it too, Marta. Yeah, it is. It's awesome. And this is, I guess this would be more personal to you, like about you. You spent a lot of your life obviously learning and really getting into this, and you're obviously passionate about this. what drives you? Why are you so, this is like a life's work for you? Why? What's your, reason? Because it's life-changing, this kind of stuff, right?
It is. It is. So there are two parts in me. So first of all, I still am impressed with how blockchain completely changed the way that we can think about building things and interacting. And it all started, I started at Blockstream, which is, one of the more notable Bitcoin companies out there, not knowing what Bitcoin was. Like, I literally just decided to join the team and maybe heard about Bitcoin as a kind of, ransom thing. And then I learned about it. I was like, this is incredible. And I got really passionate about things like self-sovereign identity. I actually am on the board of trustees for Sovereign Foundation, because I do want to see how can we build identity systems that are dependent on the holders rather than the issuers, and what that brings to the world. The fact that we have opportunities in DeFi to enable people to take their investment in their hands and start earning by providing liquidity, but deciding what they want to do, and reduce the risk that is associated with traditional investing. All of that is great. I mean, that is really what that I'm passionate about. And then the other part of it is the community building, because I do think that this decentralization will not happen unless we have strong communities. And yet it's fascinating to me from like a psychological point of view, how much we are still in a boardroom thinking that we are very happy to delegate the decisions. Like, we want the power, but let someone else decide and we'll just complain about what was decided.
Yep, I know exactly, and it's hard to unlock people from that thinking, but I mean, that is how society has been for the last thousands of years. So it's pretty cool, and it's a cool thing to be a part of that, to try to help people, because we're experiencing the same thing. But it's awesome to start seeing it's really happening, Marta. This adoption is happening, and it's exciting. It was just I appreciate your presentation. What's that?
You're making it happen. You're making it happen.
Yeah, all of us are. It's what's fun. Like you said, this is
we're a balancer. Yeah,
we're balancer. That's
we're
right.
Bees.social. It's a community of people that are here. I think that DeFi represents a tremendous amount of opportunity for people. I think, having them be educated about it and simplify a line of sight from start to capital growth, and just education about where your capital can go versus just always promising an up button, right? I think it's really where it needs to be. So it's a process that we've undertaken, and we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, Patrick's asking, what do you think, Marta, of our balancer pool rise up and Bees.social community and your pools? I think we're 4 now. That's what.
I'm mind blown.
What's that?
I'm just mind blown. I'm just mind blown.
Yeah.
It is.
What?
You guys are doing so much good stuff. Just can wish that everyone did that much.
Well, what's neat, Marta, is everybody, they were all new to crypto at the very beginning. No one knew. Probably maybe 4% of us knew about crypto, and we just taught people how to use MetaMask and all that stuff and get into DeFi, being in balancer pools. And like you said, that's what it's all about, is this community and growing and educating people, because people need to know that this is what's going to happen. Everybody needs, but you need to get over here and get over here quick. So we appreciate you, Marta, and thank you for spending time with us and explaining version 2.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yep.
Thank you for inviting me. Sorry for the initial technical difficulties. I've never used StreamYard, so it was just like learning on the go.
It's all good.
But yeah, I'd be happy to come back. I'm happy to always help you if you have any questions. My email is marta@balancer.finance. It's not very complicated. I saw a request for the Discord link. I'll share it with you, Ryan, Vince, and you can share it out to your community. Or if there is like a mailing list, I can just mail the mailing list.
Yep, that's fine. That's good. Thank you.
No, it's good. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you.
Right.
Good day, I guess.
Yeah,
Afternoon.
Good day. Good
Bye.
night, and have a good rest of your night. Okay.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much.
Bye-bye, Marta.
Thank
Take
you.
care.